Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new podcast. And the theme of this podcast is going to be about how to use AI or artificial intelligence in your business. And with me today is Paavo Ritala, and Paavo is Professor of Strategy and Innovation at the Business School at LUT University in Finland. He researches networks, ecosystems, and platforms, and also the role of digital technologies in organizations, as well as business model innovation and the circular regenerative economy. But more recently, he's been studying how new generative AI technologies change knowledge work, change organizing, and enable business model innovation. So his research has been published in among the very best and most rigorous scholarly journals in our field, including the Journal of Management, Research Policy, Journal of Product Innovation Management, R&D Management, and California Management Review. He is closely involved with business practice through research projects, executive and professional education programs, and a speaker, and especially recently on artificial intelligence. And Professor Ritala is also co-editor-in-chief of the renowned innovation journal R&D Management. So welcome, Paavo. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Matt. It's great to be featured in your podcast. I'm a huge fan of the podcast.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It's also, I think, the second time that I get the pleasure of hosting you, which is
that's true. Great to be back.
Thank you. Thank you. So maybe we can move straight on with a short recap. So what is the history of artificial intelligence, and why is everyone so excited about it right now?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And of course, it'll take me like 8 hours to go through the history of AI, but let's do in like 2 minutes maximum. So it was 56 the year when AI got born as a scientific field, and it was a kind of multidisciplinary conference hosted in Dartmouth, and there were academics across all sciences, and they came up with many cool ideas. There were economists and philosophers, physicists, and the original definition of AI is that AI would be a system that mimics human intelligence. That's why the name artificial intelligence. And then the fascinating history of AI is the 4 seasons. It's the cycle. So we have AI winters, we have AI spring and summer, AI fall. So AI comes into fashion, AI goes out of fashion. It's important to understand that. And why is that so? It's because AI is actually a bundle of different technologies. So what AI used to be in the beginning is not actually the same AI that we have now. So that also explains that, okay, why does it go out of fashion? Why does it come back to fashion? Now I think we are living AI spring, There is more and more, there are more flowers blooming, there are more, vibrant, blossoming stuff roaring everywhere. So we are living the spring. We are coming to the summer. And we don't know where it's going to go, but it's quite exciting. So just a couple of words about what happened after year 56, right? So the first, proper wave of AI was those rule-based systems, expert systems also. So these are kind of top-down. So humans encoded their own wisdom. They really tried to have the systems to mimic human intelligence. They came up, for instance, about medical decisions or decision makings in financial accounting, and to encode all of that wisdom into the computer system. So that's an expert system, and it's called in the field GoFi, good old-fashioned AI.
Okay, that's good.
That was the GoFi.
Yeah.
And then the pinnacle of GoFi probably is IBM's Deep Blue. This is 97. We remember this. Most of us will remember IBM Deep Blue beats Garry Kasparov in World Chess. And this was symbolic, rule-based AI. It was taught all of the master moves of the chess masters, grandmasters. And actually, I learned that Kasparov wanted to know about what moves it has been taught, and how to play better against the computer. And it was a very fascinating time in this first wave of AI. But that was the first wave. Now we are in the second paradigm, which also people call machine learning. So this is not top down. This is bottom up. This is where neural networks with multiple layers. They learn from data, they adapt their behavior, and they try to accomplish some outcomes. And we don't exactly know how this process works. That's why AI is fascinating people these days. We call it the black box algorithms. And these what AI does nowadays, it tries to accomplish something that we give it a goal, we give it an objective function, and then it learns by itself via various repetitions to accomplish that. And the fascinating thing is it's no longer necessarily mimicking human intelligence. So how we thought about AI in the beginning is different now. AI goes on its own way and comes up with something that humans might not come up with. It still resembles oftentimes what humans do, because it's taught with human data sometimes, especially the newest large language models. So it kind of resembles human outcomes and behavior, but it actually is not hard-coded with human intuition necessarily. It has learned that from the data, so it really depends on the data.
So it strikes me then that the kind of the reason why it's so exciting right now is because there is an absolute complete wealth of possibilities and opportunities open to it. So it's really a function of what is the human imagination in terms of what it can ask the AI to do. And then I suppose giving the AI enough space for it to go learn and then come back with what it thinks would be appropriate answers. So I think let's use that to segue to my next question then. So do you think that this new artificial intelligence, this new AI, is something of a hype cycle, or is this really generating real value for business? And what is it about the new AI that's actually making this happen?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think the answer is yes, and answer is no. So let me explain. So is it the new hype cycle? For sure, it's a hype cycle. Of course, all new exciting technologies, the more exciting they are, the higher the potential, the more the hype, and sometimes the hype goes overboard, of course. But in my mind, AI, it's a general purpose technology. So not just in my mind, it is a general purpose technology. As you said, Matt, it can be used for quite many purposes, unlimited number of purposes actually. So as you said, it's up to our imagination how we use AI. So similar to electricity, the internet, we are still coming up with use cases how to use electricity. We are coming up with use cases how to use the internet. We're gonna be coming up with use cases how to use AI, prediction, and stuff like that. We're gonna come up with use cases for that in the coming hundreds of years. So there are all the reasons to be excited, of course, and the hype is warranted to some extent, even if it would go overblown from time to time. But there was electricity hype also back in the day, and there was for sure there was an IT bubble for us.
Yeah, the IT bubble comes to mind. So what are you seeing as in terms of how it's being used to create value for businesses?
Yeah, so there are a couple of these well-known use cases. Let's name a couple of those, and then let's move to the newest wave, generative AI. So the classic machine learning, or not the old rule-based systems, but the second wave machine learning type of AI, it's used in the background in everything basically that we do in the digital world. So if it's Spotify, Netflix, Amazon, Google search, anything where data moves and is stored, AI is predicting what would be valuable as a content, as the next item you would want to purchase, as the search result you would like to see. So machine learning algorithms are working in the background, providing recommendations, making things more fluent and easy. In industry, in the production line, AI will be identifying materials that are defect or products that have errors. There will be predictive maintenance, when the industrial machinery is going to break down. So data is flowing, and there are sensors collecting data, software sensors, and also physical sensors. And any physical system, any digital system, AI has been working in the background already for over a decade, and most of us don't pay attention. We just see in our regular life, we see that things are quite convenient, and the next TikTok video is pretty cool because you have been teaching the AI all along.
Yeah.
So that's the classic one.
A lot of situations where businesses have any kind of information that they're processing to make recommendations is targets for AI. So for instance, making project recommendations, making positional recommendations. So other scenarios I've seen it is with content production. So for instance, using artificial intelligence to provide intelligent responses to emails to speed up administration, to speed up email responses, customer handling, bots, for instance, is an obvious example of that. But also, of course, just being able to find out, well, okay, this is my customer. What else might my customer need? And how can I best service my customers? So those are being real obvious flashpoints for me. But you mentioned generative AI. So where does that come in this equation?
Yeah, this is the new kid on the block for sure. So everybody who is talking about AI now in the public press, it's highly likely that they are talking about generative AI. And generative AI is not completely new. So it's also based on neural networks and machine learning. But how AI operates and how accessible it is, that is changed. So most dominantly large language models, and best well-known example is Chat GPT. But there are many others also in image creation. So we have this creative AI now that we can create human-like outputs. We can work with text, we can work with images, sound, in ways that we couldn't before. And the revolution comes in multiple fronts. So one of them is actually the accessibility. So you don't need to be able to code. You don't need to know Python necessarily. You only need to know how to write, type, or give a command, and the system can create outputs of what you desire. And many people have, of course, been experimenting with DALL-E image generator or ChatGPT, and that's all very exciting and interesting when you try it the first time. And now these solutions are moving really to the corporate world and to actual business cases, and that's equally exciting. So maybe I just name a couple of examples. So all content creation, so marketing agencies and visual design studios and software development firms, all of them are really excited because they can more easily generate now visual designs or marketing materials or to create software code, for instance. And it's more convenient now, I would say, because in the past, the price of prediction, price of handling massive amounts of data, price of that went down. And now price of creating content, price of creativity, access to this kind of mass-produced creativity has went down. So I give quick examples. One of them is pretty well known. So for instance, Bloomberg GPT. Okay. They have trained the Bloomberg terminals to include natural language interface. Oh, wow. And you can do, as a finance professional, you can classify news on the firms that you're interested in. You can do sentiment analysis. What is the vibe of the market? How are people discussing about certain types of companies and all that? So back in the day with the Bloomberg terminal, you were watching stock prices and you were doing various type of analysis yourself. But now you have this type of co-pilot who is able to work with all kinds of materials and then produce all kinds of. So it's more a creative process. It's like you got a new team member into your finance analyst team. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I like that point about having like the idea of like having a co-pilot. So for instance, one of the most obvious forms of AI, until it was not obvious until somebody told me, is autopilots in aircraft. It's an AI. And although not a generative one per se, but a rule-based one, but with the generative AI, I can see that a lot of this is coming to having what might have been previously outsourced can now be retained inside the business, but have this technology as an underlying, support system to support what it's doing, and therefore its activities. And therefore that creates, a whole wealth of not just content aspects, but also administrative aspects, but customer support aspects as well. So, for instance, with customer engagement is now very different, because a small business will not necessarily be able to have the staffing needed to provide on-site customer service. But with using bots or using platforms, that opens up the realm of possibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is actually the very exciting business use case that we're gonna see a lot. So we had the chatbots already, for some years, and those didn't work that well. Those were mostly rule-based. You can call them decision trees also. So when something is being asked, the AI chatbot is giving you a predefined answer somehow, and then you're teaching it more. And then they got a bit more advanced, and now they are very advanced at best. So basically you can train your chatbot towards your customers, but also towards your stakeholders or your professionals working in the company. You can train them. I'm giving you one example. So the customer service is quite intuitive, but this is maybe less intuitive. So for instance, in Finland, there's this company Tietoevry and Silo AI. They are together coming up with this AI assistance for healthcare professionals. And this will work in Finnish language. So when the doctor is working or a nurse is working to treat a patient, they can ask the information system about, medical conditions, the history of the patient, because typically the medical systems, you have to click through, the doctors need to spend so much time with the medical system. They even might spend more time with the system than with the patient, even when the patient is there in the room with them. So this would free up a lot of time. So we are always short in medical staff. So now we could have the system helping them and being responsive, and you could interact with the system with your own language. So
I can see
this
that
and any other use case, there's going to be a lot of these types of things.
Excellent. Well, let me move on to some of your very recent work. You recently wrote about how ChatGPT can change knowledge work. So what are some of the major take-homes from that work?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we published this paper this summer in Journal of Business Strategy with my colleagues Mika Ruokonen and Lavanya Ramal. So we interviewed 22 workers from different knowledge industries, and what we came up is something very managerial. It's 2x2 matrix. If someone wants to check it out, maybe you can put it to show notes, or someone might look it up. But yeah, so we came up with the matrix. So one of the axes is that whether ChatGPT is already very capable and useful for the knowledge worker or not too capable. And then we had two types of work: repetitive and routine work, and creative and contextual. So I'm just gonna give you the very brief highlights. So for repetitive and routine work, some of the human work is very vulnerable to automation now that it didn't before. So this is, a lot of stuff with software code, because coders get so much more efficient, there might not be need for so many coders anymore. It's a little actually contradictory. Maybe they just produce more. And I'm not saying that people's jobs are necessarily replaced, but some of the tasks are going to be automated and people are going to get more efficient. Then visual design, coming up with logos, those kind of stuff. So human is vulnerable in many type of repetitive work when it comes to text or visual. And then there will be this segment of human mastery. We call it mastery because people, if you go to a barbershop or if you are visited by a plumber, you can't outsource this to AI in a very long time. So humans are masters in this situational awareness and this fine-grained awareness of the physical space and social space as well. You wouldn't probably give AI the control of your WhatsApp either, just yet. Yeah. You want to, you want to master, your fine-tuned, real-time environment still. So those are two, and then we have creative and contextual work. So we have two here as well. So we have a thing that we call human ingenuity. So this is the emotional intelligence. This is the, the requirement of human presence to create a trust. And, if you have a first discussion with a lawyer or, with the medical professional, or if it's a management situation, you are negotiating on continuation of a job or whatever. So there are many of these things that are firmly in the human realm still. They are narrowing a bit, and AI is becoming more and more helpful in those as well. So then this last segment, which is the most exciting, we call the human augmentation. So that is the place where Chat GPT and other generative AI, they are co-pilot or sparring partner. And us academics, we do this a lot already. Any knowledge work professional, we brainstorm, we summarize, we draft, we ideate, and we deliver. So only our imagination is the the boundary here. And this augmentation, it's getting bigger and bigger, all kinds of tasks. That's the
what I
part.
really like about your matrix there is that it helps answer one of the perpetual questions that the media puts forward, which is that will AI completely change not just the nature of work, but also make a large number of people redundant? And the reality of that is no, because there are opportunities for augmentation where human mastery is simply superior to the artificial intelligence, because the artificial intelligence, as you said, cannot do plumbing. It might give you advice on how to do plumbing, but cannot do the plumbing. And then it's there to both help support human ingenuity, but also augment human behavior. So it's really nice to see a more positive view of AI rather than one that lays out as kind of like a doomsday for the worker. So, but it's very interesting to see all these opportunities, but also actual ways in which businesses have used this to create value. Because I think that for me feels like the crossing the chasm, what it will take to go from AI being something that's very interesting and very hyperbolic to something that is really deeply used across businesses. That crossing the chasm is going to be just breaking down this barrier on the technologies. That is, the technology is not so much a barrier to entry anymore. It's really because you have access to so many platforms and software tools that where AI is built into it and therefore can be used by the business.
Yeah, well, very well said. And I think this is what will set businesses apart from each other, is that because these tools are so accessible, they are integrating even to our web browsers and the Office suite and the Google Docs suite. So, people will be different. Some people are better in using Excel at the moment and will be better in using Excel in the future. So people will be different in their abilities to use these tools, but so will be businesses. And maybe the most advanced businesses will actually use AI as part of their unique products and services, and they can differentiate like that. So probably AI itself doesn't differentiate that much. It's general purpose technology, like internet and electricity, right? But how you use it and how you complement something else that is unique. I think that's what will set businesses apart also.
Thank you. So let me move to final questions. Let's say 2 minutes. What steps can owners, managers, and entrepreneurs take to create value for their businesses using artificial intelligence? Maybe what are the 3 or 4 things they should really be doing?
Yeah, so I have like 4 in mind. It's basically based on our article, because we were thinking about these takeaways. So first takeaway is skills and capabilities. So individuals, of course, we should, obviously we should learn and we should use those tools that are available, and they are very accessible. So, someone sometimes said that, do we really need that email stuff, or do we need an email to our cell phone and stuff like that? So, many people will turn around and start using AI, probably even if they don't know it, but it's good to be conscious and deliberate also, and train and experiment. And of course, companies should provide support for this training. People are a bit confused sometimes also, how to use this in my work, and am I allowed to use it? We need clear guidelines and policies and training in all kinds of organizations. And that's one. Then second one is team structures and coordination of workflows. So if really we are going to use professionally these new AI tools, we need to think about how the workflows are coordinated and what comes into the process. So if you have a customer service process, for instance, what's the role of AI there? And sometimes it's pretty standardized, but sometimes the professionals are using it for some part. For instance, if you're in a marketing agency, so there will be different use cases for different industries. They will be very different in different industries, actually. So think about how the workflows are built and be mindful of that. And then the third one is the culture and mindset. This is probably not surprising, but some companies are very excited and experimental, and some are much more conservative. So I would say for both types of companies, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's good to come up with clear protocols, rules, guidelines, something that makes it possible, but also makes it safe at the same time. So people don't need to feel insecure. Can I insert this data set into a language model? What happens if I do? What if there's some GDPR sensitive information? You need to have answers to those questions.
Yeah.
And there are answers to those questions, actually, which is a matter for different discussion probably, but you need an answer for sure. And then finally, business model innovation. Think about whether you can actually innovate the business, and what's the role of AI in that. So is it just something that you get a little better PowerPoint and Word, and that's all? Is it so? So then that's not really business model innovation. That's knowledge work productivity. But what if you can change the way how you monetize your service, or how you engage your customers, or how you engage with the professionals who work for you? Can you change the workflows? Several things that we discussed before. Think about concretely whether or not it's a productivity tool, nice to have, or can you really business model innovate? That would be my fourth takeaway.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Paavo. I'm conscious of your time, well, thank you so much for contributing those insights. I'm hoping that everybody listening to this will now have a much better understanding of how they can use artificial intelligence in their businesses, and especially to create value, because I think that's been the word, really breaking down those barriers. And I thought that many of the insights you gave there will be very helpful, no doubt. So thank you very much, Paavo. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. It was great to be here.
Thank you. Take care.